let us move down over here to the boot process. Okay, should be clear now to you that the operating system and then the role of the operating system. Now we look at how the operating system boot up, or how the operating system is boot up from the hardware. Yes, I like you. All right, yeah, good. How the operating system is boot up. Okay. Now hardware connect to the operating system. These are all simple process. All right, which you don't really take care of, or you don't really notice, right? You don't really notice them while you are using your computer, right? Now we are just listing down the details only, all right? We are just understanding how it works, but not really how it works, all right? Because if you want to understand this thing in detail, you will take computer science already, all right? That is a different league. So like I tell you, people using Microsoft and people using Word, Apple, MacBook is different world, all right? So what I program over here also is different world from the computer science, all right? Computer science, they will really go into detail, more specific, all right? Over here, we just touch and go, all right? Touch and go, but still, if we touch and go, we must still go through the basic things, all right? So over here, we have the boot process, okay? Booting process is how the hardware boot up the operating system, all right, and allows you to interact with the hardware, okay? How the operating system allows you to boot up, interact with the hardware. So first we have the, what is this thing over here? We have the one of the part of the computer, all right? You remember the components inside a computer that I have discussed with you about, like the boring parts, all right? One of the parts is we got the ROM, all right? The read-only memory, all right? The read-only memory contains the firmware. I never touched on this one, right? So we got the RAM. RAM is actually the memory that is used to execute the process, right? But over here, we also got this ROM, which is already a read-only memory, which the main purpose is it contains the BIOS, or the Unified Extensive Firmware. What's that? What's I? Can you help me with I? Unified Extension or Extensive, right? Extensive Firmware interface, is it? Is it interface? Can you search? Can you go Google search or look at the? Can you check the Google search? Is it correct? Interface or what is this? What is I? Interface. Interface. Is it interface?
Yes.
Unified Extensive or extension? Extensible. Extensible. Firmware interface. All right. So the ROM over here contains the either BIOS or the UEFI. All right. And the first thing when we do to start up a computer is what? Physically, we will turn on the computer. First thing we do is open the socket. That is, you physically open the computer, right? Use a screw and then open up the computer. First thing we do is we click on the power button, right? So when we click on the power button, straight away they will do a pulse check. Power on. Is it power on? Switch test, right? Is it correct? Am I correct? I'm testing you because I cannot remember. POST, all right, pulse. Basically power on self-test, right? on self-test. What happened over here is usually inside the BIOS or the UEFI, there will be a certain firmware inside already. All right, it will first initiate when you switch on the power. Straight away, the electricity go inside to the computer, right? It will go into the computer. Is it going to the computer? No, you switch on. The power supply will supply the electricity to the computer. See that? Then first it will go into the motherboard. Of course, the motherboard will first start with detecting the ROM. All right, the ROM will then initiate the first step, which is the post test. All right, the post. This post is to do what? Now, first thing you need to do is need to go through is the hardware, right? So it will first check, all right? It will first check whether the hardware is attached or not. It will just check whether it is there or not, all right? Just power on, hook, it will go inside. Okay, this, it will just test whether, okay, there is CPU, there's ROM, and there's not ROM, RAM, and then storage, right? It will just check everything. It will check the hardware. Over here, check. I think that's a better word, I forgot the better word. Look at the study kit, alright, there's the detail over there. But the simple process is you will just check all the components, alright? Simple process, you will check all the components. Then once everything is okay, in the ROM, alright, it will move into the BIOS, alright, the BIOS itself, alright, will initiate, alright, initiate the hardware. It will initiate the hardware. Over here, we will start to start up lah. Initiate. BIOS is what? Basic input output system, right? Okay, over here, this is the BIOS and then this is UEFI. The difference is what? This is a slash, right? So slash means it's the same, but there's a difference. Alright, there's a difference. Basically, BIOS is the old one. Okay, if you open up your computer, start up your computer, right? You start up your computer, straight away you will come to the firmware, right? Come into a firmware, and then you will see BIOS. Alright, old computer will have BIOS. But the new computer will have UEFI. BIOS, you can click F11 or F12, right? F12 to force to load up the firmware instead of going into the OS. You can load up the firmware first before going into the OS. But if you don't click anything, you don't do anything, all right? Just power on the computer, straight away it will initiate the firmware automatically. It will go into the bootloader, all right? Once it check everything is okay, then initiate all the hardware component already. Then it will go into the bootloader. Over here is the part where it will load up the operating system. But the operating system is not only one part, all right? Only one component. Operating system have multiple components. One of the components for this operating system is the kernel. All right, it will first boot up the kernel. Right? It will initiate. It will call the RAM. It will initiate this from the storage. All right. Okay, if you start up your computer, you can see maybe your C drive, right? Inside there contain the words, the Windows file. So that's your hardware. So it will first initiate this bootloader. When it comes to this stage, it will initiate. It will take the kernel from the OS, then it will load into the RAM. All right, it will load into the RAM so that it will start up. All right, it will start up the operating system. Now over here, Of course, this is powered by CPU lah. CPU will do the powering. Alright, it will CPU start up already lah. You know, when you sleep this is when you sleep lah. You know, you sleep then suddenly you wake up. Hey, today got exam midterm. Then initiate quickly. Your whole body wake up already. Right, energies start to rush in. RAM already start to wake up already. Alright. The exam for the midterm is on the 9 May. I already put in the e-learning already. Okay, and it covers up to this chapter. That's the best part. All right, best part is covers up to this chapter. 4 chapters only. Okay, over here, what I want to highlight on this bootloader is first it loads the kernel to the RAM so that it can execute the instruction. Second thing is, if you see certain computer, they have 2 operating system. Have you come across that? Do you know that in a computer, alright, in one computer, in one laptop, you can run multiple operating system. Parallelly, you can run it inside as well, virtually. VirtualBox, you got a lot of things, right? Too bad we cannot cover everything. If I cover everything, then it will overload you, alright? It will overload your memory, alright? It will overload your RAM. If I cover everything, but these are the basic one. But I want to highlight over here is when you install when you install 2 operating system into your computer, first thing, if the bootloader notice that there is 2 operating system, it will prompt up interface over here, let you choose, alright, between the 2 operating system. Okay. If you know that, alright, or you just go and Google search, alright, can you run 2 operating system in a computer? Okay, if you are interested, alright, if you are curious whether what I say is correct or not, alright, you can go and search and see. Very fun, last time I installed Windows XP and Windows 7. Have you all used Windows XP before? That's my generation. Not my generation is not Windows XP, My generation is Windows ME. You never heard that, right? Windows ME. My generation over here is Windows M and then E. ME. Millennium. 2000. I think you haven't born yet, right? This year. Have you born this year? No. So yeah, or 97. All right. Last time there's 97 as well. Windows 97, Windows ME, then Windows XP. We got Windows Vista, Windows 8, I think, right? I don't know, 7. Vista, then 7 is it? Or 7 and then Vista, I forgot already. Then 8, then 10, now it's the 11. I forgot, but that's just the fun, right? That's the fun of learning about this thing, alright? What's the fun of learning something when it is not fun? Trying to say nonsense, right? But anyway, now we already boot we already go into the bootloader. It will boot the process, boot the kernel, and then the kernel will load. Okay, that is where the next steps come in. All right, if you go into detail, the study kit will have a very detailed list. All right, on what happened in the kernel loading. All right, there's different stage of kernel loading, but not going to highlight on that so much because you can read that by your own. Okay, but what I want to highlight is after the kernel loads, it will load the driver, and then driver is something that is we seldom see them already. All right, because most of the time we have the PNG. You know what's PNG? No, not PNG. My brain wrong already. PNP. Nowadays, right? Nowadays, most hardware come out of love already. It's interesting, huh? Nowadays, we have this hardware, all right, or these devices that is P&P. You don't need to manually install the driver anymore. It is plug and play, all right. Plug in, and then the operating system automatically detects the driver, and then it will play. You know that? You know that? For example, a good example is your mouse, all right. You just the wireless mouse, all right. You just take, or not even wireless mouse, the wire mouse. You plug in, and then it will automatically detect, and then it will plug and play, all right. Those days, you have the driver. You have to install the driver manually, all right. Then over here, once it boot, it go into the kernel load into the RAM. It will start up the OS, and then the following stage is to load the driver, all the keyboards, all the cam, everything, scanner, printer, blah blah blah, right? Later, the more later system, you have the fingerprint sensor, or you got the face recognition. It will load up everything, the driver. Then after that, you will go into the system initialization, all right, where you can see the login screen, all right, the login screen. As simple as that. In simple word, the booting process is what is this thing, all right? I try to show that, but the drawing doesn't come out because I'm a bad drawer. It's a handshake, all right? It's a handshake, all right? It's a handshake between the booting process is a handshake between the OS, all right, with the hardware, right? They are handshake, all right? It's a handshake between them. If they recognize each other, all right? If they recognize each other, they handshake, all right? What happens if I go to you, give you a handshake, and then you go like this? It means you don't want to handshake with me. You know, it means you don't recognize me. So if you don't recognize me, it means what happened? It means it doesn't. We are not interacted, right? So this is handshake is okay, right? We are happy. Okay, give you handshake, you handshake with me, all right? We are happy. But I give you handshake, but you go like this, and then look on top. It means you don't want to initiate, all right? So it means it's not okay, all right? If it's not okay, then what happened? It's the compatibility, all right? It happens, okay? When you come across this Windows or the operating system, the certain operating system, right? You cannot install, right? Windows 11, the certain computer, when you open up, straight away you see, you all use what window? Or you use like Apple, living in different worlds. But never mind, right? Somehow you just picture with me, all right? If you don't know what I'm trying to say, all right? Just picture with me, all right? Bear with me. This is the good time for you to imagine, all right? Imagine with me. So let's say you are using Windows 10, all right? Windows 10, okay? Windows 10, and then when the Windows 11 first been released, it's a free upgrade, right? Free upgrade. Actually, Windows 7 to Windows 10 is a free upgrade. Windows 7 to Windows 10 is a free upgrade, but sometimes, or some people, they don't have Windows 7 because they still purchase Windows 11 already. Very rich, right? You guys, undergraduate, just receive your allowance, straight away go and buy the Windows 11 computer already. Who cares, right? Don't need to think about anything. But let's say you are on Windows 10, all right? Windows 10, and then when you want to upgrade to Windows 11, okay? Windows 10 to Windows 11, let me think. Right. If I recall correctly, there is certain features or certain hardware requirement you need before you can upgrade from Windows 10 to Windows 11. So if you don't have those requirements, they will tell you that your computer or your hardware doesn't fulfill the requirement and you are unable to upgrade your Windows 10 to 11. Okay, so that is the compatibility. So what happens if you force? You don't want to shake hand, right? And then you go like this, right? Then you go and pull the hand out and then shake hand with you. What happens if you force? All right. You see that one? Good example. Give me a clap. Good. Force to handshake. All right. Force to handshake. Then we come back to this one. Okay. What if you force to handshake? This one, the pose should be okay. All right. Okay. When you force to handshake, okay, you insist. All right. You insist that, hey, I want to install this software. Force the computer. There's a lot of way. There's a lot of way for you to force the computer to install the Windows 11. You know. Why is it we want a higher or a faster window, higher window? Why is it we want a latest window? One of it is more aesthetic, right? It looks more beautiful, right? The user interface is more beautiful, Is it, I don't know. But to some people is like your phone, all right? You're using Windows, you're using Android maybe 15, all right? More beautiful than Android 7, right? Of course, that's obvious. I'm pointing out the obvious, okay? Or you compare Windows XP with Windows 11. Do you still want to go back and use Windows XP? No, right? I don't know if you used Windows XP before or not. But basically, the interface look very classic, retro kind of this one. But so you insist, okay? Over here, the case is you insist, you boot up, you install the Windows 11. Let's say apparently you go through all the process, all the procedure, you force the system to install, and somehow it installed. All right. Of course, you cannot install. There will be a certain place for you to. There's a certain steps. It will straight away this BIOS, all right, or this UEFI, the ROM, all right, will block, all right, because of different security. Different security extension, all right. I pointed over here. I pointed over here is a different security. It has a different codes, all right. Different codes or different security. It will straight away block you from installing. But you are the person that you want to still go against, all right. You say you want a handshake, right? Still want to handshake, force him to handshake. You want to write away. You want to rewrite this ROM. Read only memory, but you still want to rewrite. Is that possible? Question mark. You go and do a research. You can or cannot, all right? It's very interesting. This ROM contains this one, right? And then this one will contain different types of security and different security. The Windows 10/11, I think. Windows 10/11 will have different codes. All right, or different structure or architecture, all right, on the operating system, and it will not allow you to load, all right. From this, maybe this post always possible, always can, all right. Always this one is always can go through, all right, pass, okay. Means we can just look at each other, all right. But want to handshake or not is another story. But look at each other, okay, pass. Okay, this one confirm pass. But come to this one already, don't already. Security issue, not compatible. We are not compatible, so I don't want to handshake with you. So starting from here, if you install the hardware that is not compatible, straight away you cannot initiate, you cannot go to the boot loader anymore. All right, we'll stop from there. That's just the one point I want to highlight over there. So this compatibility have a different reasons, all right? One of it is the security that I highlighted earlier. It will have a different security. That's the reason why certain OS cannot be, you cannot run certain OS on certain devices, certain computer, all right? Cannot run certain OS on a certain computer. One of the reasons is because they have a different security code. And of course, over here is the processor itself, all right? The processor, the CPU, right? CPU with a different OS. Over here, we talk about the 32 versus 64. This is the OS, right? We talk about the 86 versus 64 lah. But the CPU, if you go through the class, all right, if you have went through the video, all right, I'll talk about the bit. I try to teach you how the computer read, right? How the computer calculate one by one the bit. One by one, 1 and 0 lah, right? Binary calculation, all right? 32-bit and 64-bit lah, all right? Basically different CPU lah. Different CPU, all right, will have a different OS. But this is, I think, up to Windows 7 only. Windows 7, you can see there's two types, right? One times 68, one times 86, one times 64. Don't get this wrong, you know. This one is this one, you know. This one is this one, all right. This is the architecture of the CPU, and then the architecture of the operating system. And if you run this 86 on 64-bit, cannot run because wait, very simple, all right, very simple. To not let us to get confused, okay? The OS, all right, the operating system should only run on the hardware that is compatible. And one of it, the example is compatible with the CPU. Okay? Okay? Boleh? Clear? Are you with me? Okay? Of course, if you are in the exam, all right, we come to the exam, all right, exam. If you can put in some example, all right, that will be impressive. All right, that will be impressive. Everything is based on to the study kit. All right, if you can follow back the study kit, then that's impressive. If not, then you still can score accordingly. All right. But maybe there's out of 100, maybe the 10 marks, all right, is on the specific term, all right, the 10 marks. So 90 marks, 90 marks means still A, all right, even if you don't get 90, 80 also A. What I'm trying to point out is that you can get yourself familiar with the logic, all right, and then get yourself familiar with the term accordingly. Then for this subject, it's okay, all right, it will work, all right, it will work. Compatible, all right, compatible. Of course, let me see that. I'm all right. Okay, of course, we got the compatibility. We talked about the driver as well, and the software. How is compatibility will be problem, all right, when the OS, different OS will have certain hardware you cannot install on the certain OS, right? Or you cannot use because of the compatibility issue. And certain software also there will be a compatibility issue if you try to run the software. Okay, you know that certain software there's 32 and then times 64. Do you know that? Don't know. Have you installed software before? I think nowadays, right? Nowadays computer, most of the computer are already 64 lah. those day, we still have 32 and 64. Nowadays, all the computer is cheap already. All right, tech is made cheaper for us to use. You understand? Last time it's expensive. Only rich people can buy 64 because it is more powerful. But now, because of tech innovation, it is accessible to anyone. So that's the part where compatibility will have the issue. You're faced with the compatibility issue when you run this certain software or certain driver. All right, that it doesn't fit to the OS. That's all actually. Now we come to this final part. Okay, let me see. Why it matters in accounting? All right. After all this story, right? Why it matters? Why it matters? The it over here, right? If you learn English, the it over here cannot be. It became it, right? What is it, right? So what it over here is the compatibility, right? Why is the compatibility of the OS, or why is the OS compatibility matters to accounting? Matters to accounting or accounting bookkeeping, accounting itself, all right? Accounting itself, all right? Why it matters in accounting, all right? So over here, I have a different point, okay? Why does it matter when it is not compatible, all right? When it's not compatible or when there's a compatibility issue, what is the consequences? Very simple, all right? This is the part where I tell you, that you can just generate from your brain, okay? You can just think of any possible reason. Why? Because you have been learning, you have been using computer, right? You have been using computer. It means computer is part of your life. Betul? Is it correct? Right? Is it correct? Right? So, why it matters, all right, in accounting, all right? So you can think of computer suddenly not compatible in your life, all right? You're doing something and then it's not compatible. Why does it matters? All right. First of all, if it's not compatible, you'll find this one, right? What is this? If the operating system is not compatible with accounting, like not compatible in terms of the software with the OS. Over here, compatibility got two parts. One is the hardware, one is the software and the drive. Okay, compatibility in terms to OS with the hardware, OS with the software. Okay, compatibility of the OS with the software and OS with the hardware. So I'm looking at the OS with the software first. All right, with the software for accounting because why we use the system, right? The software. Right, we use accounting software. Okay, if we install a software that's not compatible with the operating system, first thing you will find yourself in is the system keep on crash, right? This is a crash, okay? You will have the system keep on crashing, right? You try to enter a few transactions or try to scan inside the post system, okay, for a few times, and then the system crash, okay, keep on crashing. And if you now this one is the second part. All right, what happens if why is it matter? All right, why does it matter? If you install this on maybe a not compatible devices, it will be very simple. It can still run. For example, very easy, all right, very easy. you install game, all right? Install game in your computer that you use only for a game, right? You install a game or you install the software, which is like maybe the Photoshop. Do you guys use Photoshop? No, right? Because I think Photoshop is dying already. Nowadays, you can have a better, more user-friendly system. But anyway, if you install system on that requires, all right, if you install the system that requires a higher processor, or you install a software that is memory craving software, means that you should have maybe 32 GB of RAM, but you install on 16 GB of RAM computer, all right. What happened to the compatibility is it will become slower, right? The issue, why it matters to the accountant if you install a software, but usually accounting software is very, it doesn't consume a lot, right? It doesn't consume a lot of memory, okay? So you will not find any compatibility issues with the accounting software to the operating system, okay? But in certain case, you will find the problem on the bit. The bit is still the problem, right? Still it cannot compute. This is part, right? This part is when we look at the database. Certain database, right, requires more higher computation. So it will actually cause some issue on the speed, all right? This is not speed itself, right? It will crash already, okay? But over here, maybe it will slow down, all right? For example, you try to use the VBA, right? Have you gone through the Microsoft Word up to the 4th session? You know that I already uploaded the Microsoft Word tutorial, right, to the internet to the YouTube, right, to be specific, or to the e-learning. So if you go up to the 4th level or the 4th video, I actually use the VBA. Okay, if certain computer which is slow, you will find yourself that when you run the script, it will hang. Right, it will slow down. It don't crash, you know. Oh yeah, it's straight away crash, crash and then mati, right? Crash means end, right? Straight away crash, it means it shut down the computer, the whole OS dies off, you know. This one straight away shut down, but this one is slowed down, all right? It will lag and then stop, and then you have to wait until you want to bash the computer. Don't bash the computer, you know, because if you bash the computer, you need to buy a new one. Unless you are rich, okay? So why does it matter also over here if you are running on the older operating system, all right? You will not have the you will not have the, what is this one? You will not have the support, right? Support. The software support, You not have the software support, all right? Comes hand in hand, right? If you're using the old system, it means the developer might have already gone off, all right, with the software. And then also the most important thing in accounting is this one. What is this one? Straight away, if you see a lock like this, it's the, yeah, I heard your friend say something. Yes, correct. Security, all right. Why it matters, if you use older or compatibility issue OS, you will have a security issue because it might be penetrable. All right, it might be. It's like this, you know. All right, you are using something that's not compatible. It ends up with a loophole in between. Okay, you know that. You cannot work with this person, but you still force yourself to work with this person. There might be a security issue, right? I'm just making fun, I'm making nonsense. Ignore that last sentence that I say. Anyway, why it matters? It matters because it will crash, it will slow down, you will not have the support, and then you will have security issues, all right? From different perspective, okay? From different perspective. In the exam, yeah, you can think of something like this, okay? You can think of something like this. That is it. Let me just